All right, and I think we should be live right now. Yep, okay, I think we're good, and it's not glitching out on me. Perfect. All right.
Nice.
Hello there, everyone. How are you doing? Today's going to be, it's going to be a little bit interesting. Dr. Death has decided to step down from the catalog. He, I guess, had to deal with some more family stuff, so I guess we'll be having a new host for the time being. Hello there, Uberclay.
Hey, all right. Hey, guys, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, don't mention it. It's always fun.
Yeah, Doc is expanding his family. He wanted to take some time and kind of focus on that. So I am honored to take his place. Some pretty big shoes to fill, but I'm going to do the best that I can, and we're going to keep doing business as usual.
Yeah, I know. Take a look at the list we got. It's going to be a fun month. But before we can get to that, allow me to, of course, introduce our wonderful channel sponsor, Aho Patchworks. That's right, Aho Patchworks. You can use coupon code /AGCast, get some of the best patches in the world. I am trying to remember the discount. We've been arguing about it back and forth a couple times. It's either going to be 10% or 5%. It's going to be... we'll get back. We'll have that hopefully finalized by December, but should be a nice discount either way. Let's just get right into it. Why don't we?
All right. Well, the first beta that we have to talk about is the HotBox by Crafty Waffle, and that is a DIY filament dryer. It's very cool. It's got a couple of different arrangements, but it uses a 750 watt PTC heater, and it's capable of drying or annealing up to 90 Celsius. So I don't know if our listeners are probably pretty hip to this, but so most nylons, the water molecule doesn't even break free until 80 Celsius, and so you really need to be able to exceed 80 Celsius to get some of the more aggressive moisture out of the nylons. And when Polymaker and these different guys bring their dryers to market, most of them only go up to 70 or perhaps 80, but 90 is really ideal. And so this is kind of a stopgap for that. Plus, it's DIY, and I'm sure you can build it. I don't know exactly what the parts cost on it, but you can probably build it a lot cheaper than you can buy it.
I already am looking at this. I think, yeah, this would be a wonderful thing. That being said, is I do have a filament dryer, and I've been printing some. It's I think carbon fiber nylon carbon fiber. Not necessarily sure what it is. It's a Saiyan Smart one, but yeah, that thing is always super wet. It is annoying, and most like the Sunlu filament dryer that I have, perfect for PLA. Not many ovens can get that low to like 45 degrees Celsius or something, which is what you want for PLA. So like those have a place, and that's for PLA. But when you want to get to your nylons, it is just not going to be enough. You can like keep it dry if you put like silica packets and like get it at its max temperature, which is like 60, I think, on that. It's still going to get moisture, but it's going to be a lot slower. 70, right. I know, I have another filament dryer that can go up to 70. It does dry the nylon. 70 will dry nylon, but what I notice is for this like Saiyan Smart e-nylon they have, or e-carbon fiber one, it takes like 2 or 3 days to like get dry, which is
right.
Not necessarily ideal, but hey, you can do it. Having it to go up to like 80 or 90 is just so much nicer, and 100% something that you would definitely want. I would like to check this out. This is kind of one of my favorite things you can do now with prints, is like, it's not necessarily a firearm, it's not a gun, but this is something that you would be definitely wanting to use. This is something that's just practical, and maybe other people who aren't necessarily interested in firearms might want to give this a shot. I'd almost recommend this to be a kind of a good introductory print, just because this is something that you probably will be using much later on.
Yeah, it's cool because in the picture they've got it where the nylon's feeding out the side of the container, and I can tell you from my experience, even when I get my carbon fiber nylon really dry, depending on what I'm printing, I can definitely start to see a quality shift if it's a really long print, if it's not in a enclosure, the spool, in other words. So it'll begin to take on moisture just out of the air
Yeah,
if it's a long print.
and something I will mention with this one, because I will just say it's a filament dryer. Looking at it right now, this is probably the big thing that I noticed is like, yeah, it's a 54 quarts or sterile tub with a nice gasket on it. But what I like about this is that if you have a 5 kilogram spool or the 2 kilogram spools,
Yeah,
you can fit that in this, which
absolutely.
my Sunlu filament dryer is only good for like 1 kilogram spools, which is,
Yeah.
mostly fine for like your typical Ender 3s, your, Bamboo A1s. But if you want to buy in bulk, which I'm getting more and more close to like just getting to that level of just buying in bulk, this
Yep.
allows you to dry those bigger spools. And also, honestly, you can also have kind of a spool holder for it too. You can print this while it's there, which is actually pretty useful, I would say.
Yeah. So we live in an exciting age of 3D printing because the advancement of in the materials game is giving us capability of doing things and printing, um, and having prints survive under more aggressive stresses with the more advanced nylons. I mean, I couldn't tell you I'm super happy with the carbon fiber, nylon that I've been using, and it's freaking indestructible. So this should be a good ad, man, for guys out there that are looking for a hotter dryer to get after their filaments.
Oh yeah, not just that, a bigger one too. But I guess
Yep.
it's a filament dryer. Honestly, I'm curious to see how this one kind of plays out, just because this is just going to be a useful one. I wouldn't be able to recommend this enough of like, this is a non-firearm print that you'll probably use, but I guess let's just go on to the next one then, see what else we got.
Sure. So the next one we got is the Hex Suppressor by ILikePrintingGunz. This is a 22 can, and I guess what is kind of unique about it is it uses the identical hardware as the Rice Cutta's Kamandaru. I'm probably not saying that right, but the flash can that was released, I don't know, several months ago, if not a year ago. So if you've got one of those, you got that hardware laying around, this integrates with it very well. And, it's a slick little 22 suppressor.
No, yeah, I would say, I mean, 22 suppressors are always the kind of the fun ones, just because they're a lot simpler to do. Don't need to be no crazy pressures on it. But a nice thing about that too is the Komandaru is kind of one of the like cooler flash cans, I would say. And if I remember correctly, that uses like
Yes.
a KAK barrel adapter. I need to double check it or something like that. But from what I remember, it's one of the sturdier flash cans that I would probably recommend doing if you wanted to go with the printed, flash can.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
a nice thing about it too is well, with a lot of these things, if I remember correctly, it's not too hard to also disassemble. So in case, some things were to happen in your life, you could just kind of pop it right off and then just put it in, the oven, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not a legal advice person. I'm just saying fun hypotheticals are, because after all, we recommend following your local laws. But I'm guessing this is a brand new one too. Do we know, I guess, what's the round counts we got on this thing? I'm guessing it's a 22, so it's probably going to be rather quiet.
Yeah. I saw earlier today in the chat that they have a variant that's like a mini, which is like a pretty convenient. I mean, this thing's not big to begin with, but they have one that's probably half size for just convenience, and can throw it in your pocket or whatever. So, I mean, it looks like it's they're getting tons of rounds through it. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody's shot anything heavy like 5.56 through it, but for 22, it's been doing fine.
I would strongly not recommend. Well, I mean, it's a printed can, so
Yeah.
honestly, there could be worse there could be worse things to do. But yeah, I'm assuming the nice thing about 22 cans are like they're simple, they're quiet, and they don't need to be too crazy because again, it's just a 22. But
Right.
I mean, I like it. I'm looking at the design of it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Suppressors are just PPE, man. You got to protect your hearing.
I couldn't agree more. One of these days, I'm gonna probably get a tax stamp just so I can start shooting it. Because
Right.
of course, I love to follow my local laws, and also I shoot in there are no public ranges near me, so I'm not gonna play. I'm not playing with fire in my life. But that is a cool looking one on there. Honestly, that's a neat 22 suppressor. I like that one a lot. I guess let's go on to the next one.
All right. So up next is this is a really cool project. So DB Firearms and Riptide have kind of collaborated on this. This is they're calling it the Triton 9, but it's it's a heavy remix of the FGC 9 with a bufferless bolt that Riptide is making, and I mean, what else can I say about it other than it's just super cool.
I mean,
You can. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to mention, so one of the big things, because I've been looking at this one for a little bit now with everything that DB Alloy and Riptides have been doing with it. A big thing that I noticed with this is that it has a built-in extractor ejector setup, which is honestly really, really nice. It's all captive too. It is honestly, if you were to machine an FGC 9 bolt, this is probably what I would, if I were to buy and machined FGC 9 bolt currently on the market today, from what I remember, the price it was like around like 200-ish, where it was, right. When you look at some of the other bolts, I'm not sure how much the FGC 9 parks market has changed too much, but I think those are mostly like 160 or something. Now I'm thinking about like a year ago or two, because I haven't really been looking at that, but it was like 160 for an FGC 9 bolt. I would easily spend that extra $40 and get one that is, with a built-in extractor and ejector. That just makes it instantly nicer. And plus, it'll be bufferless as well. And from what I remember correctly, too, the Triton, looking at what Riptide was saying about it, is it uses a different end cap that you'll need. The upper will be, I think, slightly modified. The lower should be relatively the same, though. It's an ultimately... Yeah, like I would say the Nutty 9 is the best DIY FGC 9. This is probably, I guess, the best machined FGC 9, I guess. If you have the money, you have the ability to buy it. This is probably what I would say is the best FGC 9.
It's like the Cadillac, for sure.
Like, of course, this is what I would say is a lot less DIY-able. So it's kind of like there are some trade-offs, I guess, with it. But like, if you wanted to make the best FGC 9 possible, yeah, I guess this would probably be what I would say. But
yeah, so it's he's fighting to keep bolts in stock, but he makes them and they go up and then they get sold out. So you just got to keep an eye on it. And holler at DB if you want to get in there.
But I guess, so this is one of or I guess in the catalog right now. So this is one they're beta testing right now.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you have anything else besides it? Because all I've got from is just kind of more or less of DB sort of posting about it early on about it when he was like, him and Riptide, I guess, are working on this for almost like a year now, I want to say. I've been keeping up with this like for a little bit, but it's obviously different enough.
Right. The beta just pretty much kicked off like a week ago or something. So, I mean, it's pretty new, but I mean, there's not a lot of R&D to do. It's mainly just, letting some early guys get in there and build it, and trying to make sure that there's not anything, that creeps up. That kind of the beta process is. I mean, sometimes you get a design out there and you got to do some R&D. Because it's not 100% finished, but this design and this these concepts that DB and Riptide have been working on, they are pretty polished. So I think at this point it's just a matter of letting some people in there and build it, getting the round counts up, and then finishing the documentation.
Now I am kind of curious on a couple of things though. So I mean, just a basic look at it is, I mean, I see DB's using as like fun little like anti-walk pins for like the trigger safety.
I saw that. Yeah.
I've always wondered, is that like crucial part of the design, or is that like if you bought the kit?
I really don't know. I will tell you, I have never used those and I have a literal pile of AR Fire Control Group firearms. I don't know. They seem to work for him. I think too that I saw something today where they had a variant where you could put the side plates on, where it had like the way the DB alloy was. So I don't know if that's more for just looks or LUTs, but I think I saw something in the chat today where they had some side plates.
That's, I'm not surprised by that. Again, DB Alloy has his own little, style to things. And I mean, like I said, this would probably be the best FGC 9 you could possibly make, which it's interesting seeing how that goes, I guess, of like it. One thing I do like about this is that stock/brace thing. I'm guessing that's printed, or is that machined or something?
Oh, I think it's printed, but I think it's got bar stock for the, like it's telescoping, you know.
Yeah, it's a
So
retracting
it's
stock. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I think that's bar stock, but I'm not sure. I mean, the way that a lot of these other ones are is that you use a printed jig to put the bar stock in, and then that allows you to file or hacksaw the notches out.
Yeah.
You do both sides, put them in.
I mean, there's at least a couple things I'm also interested to. So I think I'm not too clear on the upper hardware. Looking at it right now. It looks different.
Right.
It's like significantly different. Where I think I saw him almost like break it open in a way like that's not like the FGC now, where you need to have like a screwdriver and all these other things.
No, it's got so it's got that clamshell, so it pops open like an AR-15, where you have your hinge pin in the front, and then it's a spring-loaded
Detent pin almost.
spring-loaded like latch, on the back, so you can like press it down and the whole upper pivots forward, and then to close it, you just lay it down, and it snaps into place. It's very cool.
Well, that's just so much more convenient. Like that is a big step forward in my opinion. Of like that's one of the most annoying things with the FGC9 in of itself is like, oh, I need to go. Let me carry my like screwdriver set with me when I want to open this thing up. This is just a lot more easier to disassemble and maintain in a way. I'm guessing in that case it'll be a little bit different hardware for the upper. And another thing that I'm really curious on though is whether or not it works with heads, or I guess like ECM barrels, and how well it works with that. Just because the ejector extractor thing, depending on, I guess, how you headspace it as well, because that is technically variable with the ECM one, would also determine on how this would go. Is there testing with that one also? Do we know if it only works with like specific barrels, or is it like, should it also work with ECM too?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I have not looked over the build documentation that much. So I am not 100% sure what it will support in that regard.
I would assume it should work with the ECM one anyways. I mean, of course, if you've done ECM, you should probably kind of understand how to headspace it just about right. And that's kind of the beauty of an extractor ejector is now you'll have a lot more reliability in that regard. But that's one of, let's also just be real about this. I don't think many people are going to be necessarily machining this all on their own. I mean, if someone wants to trailblaze on that one, like by all means, find a good way to build that bolt fully DIYable. That would be truly incredible. But I think if you're buying this one, you're probably going to be getting, a barrel blank or whatever is being sold for it.
Right. And they're not going to be interchangeable, and we'll talk about when we talk about the release, but there are ways of machining these bolts, or we're getting to the point to where we can do some home machining. But for this particular application, I think it's kind of a Gucci, like Riptide's making it. It's super nice. You just buy it, right?
Yeah, no, I guess unless you got anything else you want to add to this one, because I guess this is kind of one of those ones I've been keeping an eye on for a bit, so I might have talked a little bit more over you. But
no, I like it, man. It's nice, and I haven't been exposed to it for very long at all, but from what I've seen, it's super slick.
No, yeah, from what I've looked into it and from what I've seen from it is essentially if you have the money and you just want to get best FGC9 out there, you don't want to spend much time on it, and you just want to get something cool that is unique and just going to be the best FGC9 experience, I guess, this would probably be it. But like, if you look at this, you kind of know what type of crowd this is for. This is more, I guess, for the people that just want to buy something. I wouldn't necessarily consider this really DIYable.
Yeah, it takes some of the DIY out of it for sure.
But it's kind of like it's one of those fun little things where it's like, why not? If you can, why not? And that's kind of cool in my own opinion as well. But I guess go ahead.
I was going to say there might be provisions, to make it where it's and I'm just not aware of it. But I know that for right now, I think the recommendation is that Riptide is making this bolt, and it's a little bit more complex than a normal FGC9, right? So maybe in time, there's provision for making them DIY, but for now, it kind of focuses on a purchase bolt.
Oh yeah, and I don't think there's anything really wrong with it because it was kind of designed to be like that in its own way.
Right.
But I guess with that, we could just move on to the next one, really.
Okay. So Caracal Zoey. This is she has a folding brace that's called the Cat's Claw, I think is. Make sure I get that right. Yes, the cat claw. So it's something that she's been using on some different guns and wanted to do a beta, get it out there, and it looks pretty cool. I know we've got some folding braces out there already, but this looks to be a solid ad, and I don't think it's going to be a stock. I think it's more of just a brace, but we'll see.
So this is quite neat. I'm looking at it right now and like, yeah, I like this already. It's got that cool little angle to it, which I kind of like.
It does.
Like one of my favorite braces has always been, I think, DB's one.
Yep.
It was originally, I think it was the Aussie's Scorpion brace, and I know DB kind of did his own version of it, which then became one of my favorites. The big thing that I didn't necessarily like about it was always my point of failure, was like a little button on it. Give it some time with enough spring like tension, it will eventually break off. And it was by far one of the more reliable ones I had, but it eventually did break on me, which, not too hard, you could replace it. What I find interesting about it is it has that same geometry that I really like about it.
Yeah, it looks good. It does.
It looks very similar, reminiscent to it. But what I kind of like about it is it almost has that, like, I think Bulligan had one similar to this as well, where it was like a spring pressure where you just need to push it up slightly and then you can flip it over. And
yeah,
that one, I think I printed out one of those ones too, and that one actually is probably my most reliable brace. This one, I guess, is kind of like the best of both worlds in my opinion. Of it has that cool like DB alloy type of like angle that I like, and then it also has that type of hinge mechanism that Bulligan's one had. All kind of combined into one, which honestly is amazing. I like this a lot. The
right.
only thing I would probably ask that I would hope to see is I see it has like the funny Mac Daddy like angled mound system on it.
Right.
Is there any, plans for it to be like a flat, Picatinny rail one for like, let's just say you have like a Brownell's AR or something and you just want it to have you just want it to just be able to attach to us, like say a flat Picatinny rail.
Right. I hope so. Like I say, the pictures that I've seen is this configuration. So I don't, I haven't seen a straight flat pick rail, but I would imagine that there's probably going to be a couple different options with this. What I run into a lot with these braces is you don't have enough drop. For you to get a good sight picture, unless you're using like a big standoff on your sight. And this, you can see how it falls away as it stretches back.
Yeah, no.
And,
if you were to accidentally slip over and you accidentally lay your cheek on the side of it and you accidentally take a look through your optic, it's almost like you would be a perfect level. But like, yeah, hypothetically,
accidentally.
Yeah, no, you just accidentally slip on there. I know exactly what you mean, friend. I know exactly what you mean. But I mean, to be honest, I've been learning a little bit of CAD work myself, and if this one doesn't have a flat back on it, that would be I think it wouldn't be too hard of a remix to do in that regard.
Nope.
But this,
yeah,
this is one of those this is the culmination of every brace that I like. So
yeah,
and this has always been my rule with braces, because braces, let's just be real about them, they are a fun cope device that honestly is a very hyper-specific thing that shouldn't exist. I will never buy an actual brace with my own money. I refuse to do that. And the fact that the printed braces have been like getting cool and getting a lot better, in my opinion, that just kind of, I don't see a reason to do that, especially when, you never know, whatever the day the wind blows with the ATF, you just never know what's going to be allowed and what isn't. Honestly, I think the printed braces are more than usually fine, in my opinion, and I think this is probably going to be my new favorite brace.
Yeah, it's a slick. It's got a vibe. You know what I mean? I like it.
And yeah, I can already see this is. It looks like probably a 1/4 pin. I don't know exactly the spring on that one because I know for like my Bulligan one, I just went to Ace Hardware, just bought a box of random springs, and then the one that fit. So
a lot of them will use an Ender bed spring.
Which
that's
is,
what a few of them I've seen use.
Which is a very it's actually becoming less and less common now. Now to think about it, bamboo doesn't have any twister things on them.
No, you're right. I mean, I've still got a handful of them around, but you're right. I'm not really buying any more new ones, at least not for the printers.
Yeah, I have an Ender 5 right now, and that one has now the silicon thing, the silicon stuff. So I guess it's becoming less and less of a common thing, which is an interesting place to be now to think about it. It's kind of cool, but also, man, it makes me feel a little bit old in that regard. But this is a cool brace. I see it also has your little Velcro strap on it too, so if you want to be extra compliant, there it is for you. No.
Yeah, I think they frown on you if you don't have the strap or something on there on the back.
I know the DB one had a tail hook on it, which I like tail hook, but
I like a tail hook.
I remember the tail hook kind of like being this weird, when you had the fun D&D pick your own adventure brace rules for it. I remember the tail hook was not considered was not good. So then that got taken out. So who cares? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not gonna play pretend lawyer. Follow your local laws. But that being said, this is a really cool one. This is probably gonna be my new favorite brace, but let's look at the next one.
All right, so our next beta is the BB15, and so this is by user 8762E13. But anyways, this is a bullpup AR-15, and it's for if you have an FM-15, a BRN 180, or one of those law tactical ARICs. This is like the bufferless bolt carrier. But anyways, man, it's super hot. It's bullpup AR-15. It's got a little specific, but if you look at it, it's got a vibe, and I like that. Kind of like that handguard, that forend, man. It's like, it's got a lot of character to it. Let's put it that way. It's a lot of character.
Is cursed. This is cursed.
Yeah, it's got that freaking. It got the straight. The straight hand grip or whatever. Or I don't even know what the fuck.
The straight AR-15 group, which makes sense because if it's too angled, it's gonna feel goofy. You gotta have it straight because it's it almost it's almost got that Tavor handguard to it, but it's not. It's not the same. But it's you remove, but I mean, what flashlight are you going to put on those M-locks? That's where you're supposed to grip. It makes sense why it's there. This is, at least, the FAMAR looks like a FAMAS. What is it? The QBZ one kind of looks like the QBZ one. This looks like this is
its own thing.
This is its own thing, I mean, I love bullpups, but I respect this person on. You know what? I'm just gonna make a bullpup to make a bullpup, and you know what?
And they're jamming with it too, man. I mean, this is a fun one. I mean, I don't have a freaking. I mean, I've been tempted to get one of those Law Tactical arcs, but
I've heard nothing but bad things about those. But
I know, me too. But I'm not buying a BRN 180 upper, and I'm also not buying an FM15. So I have to, I don't have a whole lot of options. But I will tell you this: that if I had a bufferless bolt carrier lying around, I would definitely build one of these. I think it's kind of crazy, man. It's pretty cool though.
Oh, I mean, this is one of those few ones. I'm a sucker for bullpups, 100%, and I mean, I wonder if you could do a Jackal on that, but it would be a little bit. The Jackal would be
maybe Maybe.
It's got the AR-15 fire control group. It is bufferless, but
Yeah.
I remember someone telling me about trying that. It's a little more gassy than the Brownells one, and that's like they recommend the Brownell one for that reason. But
are they selling the just the bolt carrier groups for those Jackals yet?
they only work in
I
the
guess you
Jackal
could.
upper. It would
Well,
the Jackal upper is different. It's like the Jackal bolt is like an AK/AR bolt, which is weird, but it uses an AR like 15 lower pretty much exactly. So it's like it can work, but I'm kind of curious on how this trigger setup works. I'm guessing it's kind of like I see a metal looking trigger there. If not, that is a fantastic print or great lighting.
yeah, right.
Do you
I
know?
don't know what that is. I agree with you though. It looks like it doesn't at first glance it doesn't look printed. So I don't know what's going on there.
I'm guessing it's a
But
relatively newer beta in that case.
oh yeah, no, it's like they just kicked it off.
Okay.
But
I
I think it's pretty cool. I'd love to have one of these in a. I mean, 5.56 would be fine. It'd be great, but I'd love to have a nasty bullpup in something like 458 SOCOM or something. It'd be kind of fun.
oh my
So
goodness, that would be three. I mean, I would just settle for 308, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I would say if once we figure out a little bit more on it, we could probably, if people want to ask in the chat or the comment section, we could probably, we should be able to at least hopefully update you with that specifically because this is a relatively newer one. But like taking just a brief look at it, it's using an AR-15 safety. I could tell.
yeah,
It looks like it's still using the same bolt release in the back, which is interesting.
yes,
That's going to be a interesting manual of arms to say the very least. And it's using the same mag release, which is going to be a interesting manual of arms to say the very least. Really, this is just like a cool bullpup to be a cool bullpup is what I'm saying. And looks like it should be relative. If they're not doing any crazy like mag releases or any crazy bolt releases, this should be relatively simpler to build, I would say. But
oh yeah,
I'm a sucker for bullpups. This is interesting and unique. I'm curious seeing the hardware on this one because this doesn't look like it's too crazy in my opinion, and I wouldn't mind trying this one. Like, maybe you can make almost like an L85 like handguard printed on it too. And you can almost
nice.
like turn this you can almost turn this into like an L85. And if there's anything I know about the L85, it's not known for its quality. So maybe the manual arms might be just about right for that. Who knows?
I think you're going to be challenged with the manual of arms with any bullpup. It's going to be just its own thing probably, but
I think
it's a wild ride, wild build.
oh yeah, no, this is exactly what I love about the 3D printing community. This is just like this is you show this to anyone, and the longer they look at it, they're gonna be confused, upset. They'll go through a couple stages of grief. This is just like a because I can, I did, and you know what? I'm all here for it. That is I think this is looking at this close. I think this is a Fox the Foxtrot upper. Yeah, no, these are. I'm gonna keep tabs on this one just because this is this is a unique one. Mr. Number name. I am intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. You have me waiting. I want to see where this one goes because this is fascinating. He's cooking up something crazy, and you know what? I'm all here for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you already have a couple of normal ARs, what's a bullpup? It's like just to keep it interesting, right?
I have been in the market for a bullpup, 5.56 something, and you know what? I want to see what this man is cooking before I do anything. But you know what? He's got me intrigued. I'm fascinated with this thing because I already know I can show this to a couple gunsmith friends, and they're going to be rather confused, upset, and I want to see that reaction personally. I want to bring this to the range specifically for that. But this is, again, if you guys are interested about this, we'll come back with a little bit more information in the comments if someone wants to ask about it. But of course, as always, you can message us on Twitter, X, and the catalog or Rocket Chat to see if you can get into the stuff. Message UberClan Rocket Chat. My name is too hard to figure that one out, but this is interesting. But I guess for right now, let's go on to the next one. I guess, is this also the last one too?
Yep. We have only got one more. This one's really intriguing. This is by Bonobos, and he's calling this Steve's armor. And so what this is, it's not 3D printed armor, but it is bulletproof armor that uses 3D printing in the manufacturing process. Which I'm going to speculate on this is that he's using it to. Maybe he's printing molds or something, but he's got some pretty interesting initial tests. He's been able to stop 5.56 with it, and his goal is to be able to stop the 5.56A1. I think is what he told me. But it's and he says it's got really solid success with pistol rounds, obviously, and handgun rounds. So
this is an interesting looking this is an interesting looking piece. So. It's not the helmet, it's the side panels, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. So what he told me is that's like a test panel, and I don't know if the application is going to be like over your face, really, but he's got a panel there, and they shoot the shit out of it, and you can see the deformed bullets there on the table. I don't know how he's doing it because I'm not read in on the specifics of the process, but I think what he's doing is he's making ceramic or fiberglass inserts, and then somehow he's using the he's 3D printing either a mold or some kind of a jig in order to make them. So
I'm guessing it's those hexagonal things.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, but I don't want to. I'm not 100% read in on this. Again, this is like brand new, like emerging.
Okay.
But and I'm excited about it because there's stuff out. I mean, we're like at that point where you could consider making some kind of ballistic either plates or inserts or something like that. And I'd like to see more of what this has got to offer.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, this has been a very interesting month. Last month, I believe there was only like one. So, I guess,
yeah.
And everything just kind of just seems like it just sort of started. So, again, my apologies for all of this. It's one of those things where a lot of things are just kind of brand new. But this is fascinating because one of the problems we had with a lot of 3D printed armor was, 3D printed material just wasn't great at it. It just wasn't, the material strength, tensile strength, it just wasn't going to work. And there was a bunch of tests for that. That being said, though, DIY armor has existed for a decent amount of time now at this point. And I am interested in seeing how you can use 3D printing, not necessarily as, the end-all, be-all of it needs to be PLA mixed with DPU, mixed with, ABS and some polycarbonate somewhere in between. No. You're using it more or less as a mold to use already pre-done things. Almost kind of like the ECM process of, you aren't necessarily 3D printing a barrel per se, but you're using 3D printed tools and jigs to essentially create a barrel that can fire 9mm. Now, first and foremost, just taking a look at this thing with the helmet, God, do you not want to take a rifle? Sure, it could stop a rifle round, but your neck can also handle only so much force to it too. So sure, it didn't puncture, it didn't penetrate, but you have a broken neck now. Congratulations.
Yeah, you might wish you were dead.
The bullet. It's not the bullet that kills you in that case, but this is. I mean, if you're saying this is a test panel, then I would hope to God so. But but I mean, you could theoretically almost put this on your chest. I kind of like this idea of like this goofy 9mm. I mean, okay, if it stops 9mm, that'd be fine. But like, it's almost like what would be the helmet? What game would this be? I mean, it almost looks like like a stormtrooper helmet of like you could just have the full like face mask or something, where it's like, okay, not only that, your mouth is also being covered, so in case someone tries to shoot you there, we're almost going back to like night helmet or something.
Right.
But like, yeah, this one, this is, I mean, this month has been interesting to say the very least. We have a bunch of not necessarily
Yeah,
firearm stuff, but more just
right.
unique things in that regard. Of I already know a couple people that would be very fascinating about, very fascinated about this just from the DIY armor sense of it. Of I've seen things where people
Sure.
have used fiberglass and resin, and that does work pretty well, but it's not fiberglass is not something you want to breathe and you usually don't want to work with as well. So like,
Right.
and I've seen them stop like 9mm 45, and people I saw were using like AR 500 like steel plates, I guess, to like hold them in place. So like I couldn't. I could almost imagine you being able to sort of do that with 3D printed material. I would like to know more about this one specifically, like the hexagons and like what is it like ceramic tile that you're using and you're putting in like a 3D printed like mold or something that you can do. I am just this one's fascinating to me.
Yeah, they you hit the nail on the head though. It's like, we print guns, but there's a lot of peripheral applications besides just firearms, right? You print magazines, you print braces, filament dryers, as we saw, and even potentially, armor or some kind of bullet resistant, um, plates, or something you put in a vehicle, something you put in a backpack. There's all kinds of different applications besides just a straight up plate carrier. So it's very interesting, and I think it's a good bellwether for the independence and the self sufficiency of the community. So we're all a group of guys that I think we are drawn to a challenge, being able to solve it by making something, or meeting that challenge with it in a DIY nature. So
Well, yeah, no, you'll probably see this one being used in like a bunch of. This could be probably used by like different like groups or other maybe some. I could see the potential of this one kind of going beyond a lot of things, but like this could probably go like around the FGC 9 like global type of a thing. I mean, you were seeing in Hong Kong protests of people using like the
yes,
toilet paper armor and stuff. Like there is a demand for this type of stuff, and this would almost be one of those things where, yeah, good luck trying to regulate this. I highly doubt.
right.
I'd like to see more about this one. So again, if there are more comments on people want to know about this one, please leave a comment and we will come back to you on this one. Again, it seems like a lot of these things kind of just came out right now, so the information about it's a little bit smaller. The beta channels must have just got opened recently, so I would
Yep.
say please, if you want to know more about these, leave a comment below and I'll try to respond as quickly as I can with more details and information about it. But this one is definitely going to be, I think this one's going to be probably one of the next bigger ones we definitely have for release once this thing comes out, just because again, this is going to be, I can see how this is just super DIYable, and there has already been a demand for 3D printed armor, and I think people might have been looking at it the wrong way of, oh, it needs to be filament based or something. No. How can you use 3D printing to, I guess, aid in that process? This could be it. I'm curious in seeing how this one goes.
Obviously, it's prohibitively expensive from what I've seen, but like we're getting the emergence of some really advanced materials, and I mean, you can 3D print Kevlar now. I mean, I think it's $400 or $500 a spool, but
Yeah.
which is almost, you might as well go buy some, right? But
Yeah, you might as well sew your own Kevlar vest at that point, yeah?
yeah, right. But maybe that improves, and so it's exciting. I think that there's a demand and a market out there, and it's exciting to see what the chemists are coming up with. I
No,
mean, let's go.
I, I,
Printable Kevlar. I love
I,
it.
I mean, yeah, that'll be an interesting day for sure. I mean, we already know carbon fiber nylons and stuff. I mean, what about Kevlar filled nylons? That'd be
Hmm.
interesting. But I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
but I like where this is heading. I guess once we know more about this one, I won't kind of speculate too much on it because that that could be a dangerous thing as well. But I'm curious in seeing where this one or goes out to and see how this one ends up. But I guess with that, let's just go on to the release then, which I think this was actually a pretty big one. I'll let you
Yes. So the Rogue 9, it's the only release that we had. It's a massive, incredible project. It is a complete evolution in the DIY design space. It is kind of the next level of DIY 9mm commando carbine. And what makes it, I mean, there's lots of stuff that makes it super cool and super advanced. Like every part of it is a level up. But what really strikes me as being the most unique is that there are countless jigs that allow you to actually do home machining with a hand drill by using these jigs. So you get you're able to produce a really advanced bolt. Parts of it are way more advanced and way more stable than what you would typically produce without the machining capability. So, it's like jigs that you print that would house, different tools that you can then attach to a power drill, and you can, it's got a real extractor, a firing pin that is notched. I mean, and out of battery safety. I mean, it's super. Every facet of it has been absolutely scrutinized and poured over, and it's really exciting. Immortal Revolt and Advanced Payment, they did a great job with that, and the documentation is second to none. It is literally a massive instruction manual that just takes you a step at a time through every part of the process. So, it may look intimidating at first, but if you just take it step by step, I mean, anybody can do it anywhere, and with absolutely no regulated parts. It's incredible.
No, yes, I remember. I mean, we've done. I remember going through this one not too long ago. So if you guys want to know more about it, I believe I'm trying to remember what month this beta started. Okay, I just found it. So yeah, I did this one for it was the month of May for that beta video. No, yeah, this one, from what I remember, also has a lot of interesting things about it. It also has like a progressive spring in it, which is an interesting way of mitigating recoil in a way. And it's just, if I were to best describe things, let's say the Nutty 9, I think, is the most simplest of DIY FGC 9s to do, then that is, it's very simple, very easy to do. I guess we'll go with the Triton. That's probably the kind of the best one you can buy with money in a way, I guess. And
Right.
the Rebel 9 is the best that you can DIY, 100% sure. And to be honest,
Right.
I would almost argue the Rebel 9 is more of an interesting choice. It has its own things. It's just better than,
Yep.
like, again, the out of battery safety, the interesting recoil mechanism. The bolt shape is completely different too. It's a square bolt as well. I believe it's also bufferless too, in a way.
Yeah, it is bufferless.
It's
Correct.
bufferless. There's, I believe, Immortal Revolt usually likes to put suppressors and things. I think there's also probably a file for suppressors on it, right?
Yeah, they the flagship design, the flagship model of that is it's the barrel is suppressed.
Integrally suppressed. I got you.
Yeah, I can't say that. I'm retarded today. I apologize, but
I'll spot
yeah,
you
that's
here. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. So it obviously that's controversial, but and I think too that there's a couple of different receivers because there was like a select buyer version that's like not for Americans. But that's a different receiver, so you don't, like if you want to build it and you're, stay in compliance, you just don't build that one, right?
Yeah.
But if you live somewhere and you need that type of a weapon, it's there for you.
Or of course you fill out your wonderful paperwork as well. But
Yes. Yes.
that's so that's a very nice thing about it, is that I think this is going to probably be the next flagship in a way. in
I
that.
do too.
I remember actually talking to our parrot boy, the Urtao guy. He was telling me
Uh-huh.
about how he's of course very proud of his like Urtao, and that's one like again, it's his baby. But the way he
Yep.
told me was, if I were to fight in an actual like if I were like an actual rebel right now, and I needed something to trust my life for, 100% Immortal Volt's Rebel 9 would or Rogue 9 would be exactly what I would want to do. Now,
Yep.
the one downside I can probably see things, and that's a good thing. The documentation is very good because it is more complicated than your typical FGC9, significantly more complicated than your Nutty 9, but it's not
Yeah.
impossible. It's definitely doable, but I would say it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. I
It's
haven't
just yes.
I haven't tried it yet, but it's by no means would I say it's going to be impossible. And again, it has, from what I've seen, pretty great documentation that kind of walks you step by step to do it. So this, I think, would be a really good project. I do look forward to seeing more and more people trying this one out. I honestly would love to see, a lot more companies do kits now, kind of switch over the FGC9 kits to this, just because I
Right.
think it's probably a little bit easier to machine because it's a square bolt, and also this would be one of those things where I think this is probably the best DIY, 9mm PCC, whatever word we want to use to describe this genre of things. But this is probably going to be the best one, I would say, for right now, for the time being. Again, what people consider best, their qualifications for it might be different, but I would say DIYable, this one is going to have your built-in extractor, your extractor has a out of battery safety, which we kind of know now is sort of a nice thing to have. And if
Completely.
you live in a place where you don't care about laws, then you can also get the select fire. So
Right.
I know people were always asking about a select fire FGC9. Here you have it.
Yeah.
So
He the can that goes over the barrel, he makes it out of a can of mousse or something like that, where you go buy your can of L'Oreal and empty it out and then cut the top and bottom off and make a can out of it. It's really ingenious, man.
I
I
think,
mean, that it's a masterpiece. It's just all there is to it. It's a masterpiece.
and I think the future is really looking bright. And this, I like seeing where things are heading right now. But I guess with that, I guess that's probably a good place to end it right here.
All right.
But
Sounds good, man. Well, we'll see you guys next month.
no, yeah, and I love looking forward to working with you again, or Uber Clay. I almost said Doctor Death again. He's going to be too busy out with the cigarettes again. But it's been wonderful talking to you, and I'm looking forward to working with you for the rest of these. So I'll see you guys later.